Keeping your hands warm and safe is critical on the expeditions that we do, and it can be a little bit challenging sometimes. So it's really important to have the right kind of system to protect your hands. I'm here with Keith Hager, one of our lead guides who guides North Pole, South Pole, and Greenland on a regular basis. He's had hundreds of days in the extreme cold, and I've asked him to tell us about his mitt systems to protect his hands. Keith, can you tell us about what you use to keep your hands warm and safe in the polar environments?
Certainly can, Annie. Thanks for inviting me here to share my system with our fellow expeditioners. The first thing I want to show you is my working glove. This is the first glove that I put on. I wear this almost 100% of the time. You can see that I've made a little feature here to make it easy to put on. Right.
And that is these loops here?
These little red loops right there allows me to use my fingers to pull the glove on. You can see how they're loose fitting. I have plenty of dexterity with my fingers. They're made of a windstopper fleece material. They're easy on, they're easy off.
And Keith, what do you have in the palm? It might be hard to see. Is this a leather patch or
this is a leather
synthetic?
Patch. Yes, it's a synthetic leather patch that gives me a little bit of durability. You can already see here on the tip that it's wearing out. This has only been from one season of winter use. All right, so I actually have two pairs of these. Some things to consider. These gloves fit me quite nicely. They're loose enough in the fingers. There's plenty of room. My fingertips don't rub on the seams. Whereas in this pair of gloves, one that I bought over the internet, I put them on when I got home. They're quite tight and restrictive right here. And I can feel the seams on my tips. And so I avoid those two things. I want to make sure that the fit for my working glove is comfortable, that I manage my dexterity, and that I have plenty of blood flow to my fingertips.
Keith, what if you what if you put your hands into your working gloves? I can feel as well the seams along the sides of my finger. I don't feel it up at the top, but I definitely feel it here. And what is that going to mean when we're out on the ice?
That means for me, it's just a little bit of an annoyance as I'm working with my hands or as I'm holding my ski gloves or my ski poles. I might feel that. It's not going to create any blisters, but it's just going to be a little bit of annoyance. So you're looking for a glove brand that provides a proper fit for your hands. So you might have to go to the store, you might have to buy some on the internet and try out a different couple models so you find one that's comfortable. I'm actually comfortable with these Black Diamond Windstopper. I think they're called their Jet Glove. And again, I've made this one modification, a little easy on, easy off loop right here. It's also a place for me to clip onto the drying rack, which is in our tent.
Okay, good
idea.
idea.
I can dry those out. So that's my first layer. I actually have two pairs of these. One that I wear all the time and one as a backup in case I get holes or they get wet. So I'll put these on for you. And then the next thing that goes on, if I'm traveling on the polar ice and it's a nice, warm, clear day with no wind, I'll throw on my over mitts. All right, these just go over my anorak. Oh, I've already put it on backwards, so I'm just going to reverse this. These over mitts are on a leash system that allows me to have them dangle and I won't lose them if it's windy.
Keith, how convenient is this leash system?
Oh, it's great. Here's another leash system that's pretty popular out there. I prefer the leash system that goes around the neck because I can actually take these and remove them completely out of the way behind me. This leash system right here, you just slip on over your anorak and you actually have to pull closed and it's quite hard to do, but there's another option for a leash system.
And why do you need a leash system out there? Is it the wind that could blow it away, or is it that you just might lose it?
Well, you can imagine when you're working with your gloves and your mittens are quite hard to be dexterous with. You can't really pick up fine objects. You can't tighten your bootlaces. If your bootlaces do come undone, you have to tie those, which means you can easily slip the glove off, let it dangle, and work with your fingers if you're putting in a tent stake, if you're working with some binding. So having a leash system, whether it's around the neck, which I prefer, or on the wrist, is ideal and almost mandatory. So I'm going to put these down right here. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the mitt system that I wear. So this is a nylon coated over mitt that has a few features on it. One, it's got some bungees that I can pull tight to prevent wind or snow from blowing in. It also has a system here that I can make it a little bit tighter and a nice fleece patch if I need to wipe my nose. All right. The palm is made of a tough material. I've actually had these gloves for about 4 or 5 seasons. They've held up really well. They're the ones we recommend in our gear list, made by Wintergreen. some other things to consider. This isn't Gore-Tex or anything. It's just an open nylon. These are Gore-Tex. Gore-Tex doesn't breathe as well in the polar environment because what happens is those ice molecules get inside, and what you'll have lots of frost forming on the inside of this material, the Gore-Tex material. I'm not going to say that these don't, but from my experience, the Gore-Tex models breathe less and more frost is on the inside of these.
Keith, I noticed that these gloves, these overmitts, both pairs of them, are just nylon shells. There's absolutely no insulation whatsoever to them. Is that normal, or should I come with a pair that's got a lot of insulation in it?
That's a great question, Annie. You might find out there that your local gear store has a big, puffy, down mitten. You might consider those as like a one-stop shop for your hand needs. Remember, we're talking about layering systems for your entire body. Your hands aren't excluded in that. So you want to build a layering system from the inside of your hand out. My working gloves allow for dexterity and warmth. And then this shell alone provides wind protection. Alone, these two work for me in almost all temperatures at the North Pole, South Pole, and Greenland.